everyone, my name is Saira Shah Halim and welcome to another episode of Azaad Lafz. On June 25, 1975, Indira Gandhi imposed the emergency on the people of India. And ironically, on that very day, over 4 decades later, on June 25, 2022, civil rights activist Teesta Setalvad was dragged out of her Mumbai home by the Gujarat police, who barged into her house and marched her out into a waiting police jeep. On the same day, former Gujarat police officer 𝒃𝒊𝒈𝒂𝒓𝒅 was arrested in Ahmedabad. As India recalled the 1975 June day when Indira Gandhi's police hauled dozens of opposition politicians and journalists to jail. This is a stark reminder when 2 days later, Mohammed Zubair, co-founder of Alt News, was arrested. On this episode of Azaad Lafz, we will discuss and seek to bring the method to the madness on the fore, in which a prominent human rights activist, Teesta Setalvad, and co-founder of Alt News, Mohammed Zubair, have been arrested in the last couple of days. Well, the arrest of activist Teesta Setalvad by the Gujarat police on Saturday has elicited an outpouring of support and solidarity for the activists. The arrest comes a day after the Supreme Court dismissed a plea challenging the special investigation team's clean chit to 64 people, including then Chief Minister Narendra Modi in the 2002 Gujarat riots case. The plea was filed by Zakia Jafri, whose husband was murdered during the 2002 Gujarat riots. Setalvad has pursued the case against Prime Minister Modi for years, and she was picked up by the anti-terrorism squad ATS of the Gujarat police from a house in Mumbai for allegedly committing forgery and fabricating evidence, among other charges. Around the same time that day, Home Minister Amit Shah gives an interview to news agency ANI, which was carried out by all news channels. Well, in the interview, Shah named Teesta Setalvad as one of the activists' NGO and has leveled allegations against BJP workers across Gujarat. Hours after the interview aired, the Gujarat police's anti-terror squad, no less, swooped down on Setalvad's residence, and the Supreme Court judgment, registration of FIR, the Home Minister's interview, and the Gujarat police action on Setalvad unfolded like a strategic chain of events. What, after all, are Setalvad's crimes? Well, during the 2002 Gujarat riots, over 60 people were killed in the violence at Gulberg Society in Ahmedabad. Former Congress MP Ehsan Jafri was burnt alive in front of his family, even as he kept trying to telephone for help. It was at Gulberg Society that 14-year-old Azhar Modi, son of Parsi couple Dara and Rupa Modi, went missing and has never been found. When government functionaries looked the other way, and even the Congress was hesitant to stand behind the widow of its own former MP, it was Setalvad who doggedly took up the cases of the Gulberg Society victims, backing Zakia Jafri's legal appeals for years. On the other hand, Mohammed Zubair, the co-founder of Alt News, a fact-checking website that has 416.4K followers on Twitter, was arrested in Delhi on Monday. He's been in the news for quite some time for busting fake news and also bringing to light hate speeches made by some BJP leaders, including the now suspended national spokesperson of the ruling party, Nupur Sharma. Incidentally, despite an FIR, Sharma has not been arrested or called for questioning yet by law enforcement agencies. What's Zubair's crime? Well, every other day, Zubair sifts through hundreds of pieces of possible misinformation that gushes through India's social media and WhatsApp channels. Zubair was also among the first journalists to highlight controversial comments made by the now suspended spokesperson of the BJP on the Prophet Muhammad that created a diplomatic row for the Modi administration. Misinformation these days is a challenge globally, but in India is practically baked into the ruling party's communication system. And while the platforms that are now host to this misinformation, like Facebook and Twitter, have made attempts to curtail it, it hasn't been enough to stem the tide. The average Indian media consumer is inundated these days with misinformation from the time they open the day's paper to when they lie in bed scrolling on their smartphones at night. So much so that even if they don't make the effort to seek out facts for themselves, they risk responding to a fictional reality. That is why two engineers, Zubair and his colleague Pratik Sinha, banded together in 2016 to form Alt News, which debunks false information with meticulous documentation. But while their profile has risen in recent years, they still find themselves playing whack-a-mole in a country increasingly hostile to the truth. But what makes the Indian media ecosystem unique is that much of the misinformation is focused on religious minorities, particularly the Muslims, which form the largest minority in India. Typically, he said, it's a Muslim doing something. Images, for instance, from Egypt represented as Ramadan gatherings in India at the height of the pandemic, scenes from Bangladesh misleadingly shared as anti-Hindu violence. The arrests have led to the global shame once again, and a UN official has expressed deep concern over the arrest of activist Teesta by the Gujarat police and called for an immediate release. A United Nations expert has joined global human rights groups in expressing concern over the arrest of Indian rights defender Teesta, a day after the country's Supreme Court upheld the findings of a special investigation team that cleared Prime Minister Narendra Modi of complicity in the 2002 anti-Muslim riots. Amnesty India, in a social media message, has described the arrest as a direct reprisal by the Indian authorities and said it sends a chilling message to the civil society and further shrinks the space for dissent in the country. Targeting human rights activists for their legitimate human rights work is unacceptable. Not only these two, the list is ever growing and long. Journalist Siddiqui Kappan continues to languish in jail for over 19 months now, apprehended while on his way to cover the 2020 Hathras case. Activist Omar Khalid is also still in jail, although the Delhi police has still not been able to produce a single evidence on his role in the outbreak of the Delhi violence 2020. But it isn't just Gujarat which views criticism and dissent as acts of criminality to be punished by its state powers. In Trinamool-ruled Bengal, YouTuber Rudur Roy was arrested for derogatory remarks against Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. In MVA-ruled Maharashtra, sedition was slapped against a politician couple, and actor Ketkey Chitale was arrested for a Facebook post reportedly targeting NCP patriarch Sharad Pawar. TMC has zero credibility on such issues. So this is on an expected line that they've kept absolutely mum on these arrests. Other parties, including Congress, do not dare to speak against such autocratic moves. Only the left parties, particularly the CPIM, came out with the strongest opposition towards such happenings. Protest meetings and marches have begun throughout the country, demanding immediate release of the activists led by the left. CPIM issued a Politburo statement on this, which categorically demands the withdrawal of cases and release of Teesta, Shri Kumar and others. We think that this is an ominous threat to all democratic-minded citizens not to dare to question the role of the state or the government under whose regime communal violence takes place. This is abhorrent to democratic rights of citizens and must be stopped. Free Teesta, free Zubair, free all activists, free all social workers who have been arrested in false charges. So thank you so much for watching, and until the next episode, thank you so much.